Welcome to Claris Talk AI. Hello, Chris.
Hey, what's up, Matt? Long time.
It
What
has
have you been
been
up to?
it
It's
has been
been a
too
long time
long.
since. Yeah, we haven't had a podcast together in some time. I think it's because you've been gallivanting at various different FileMaker conferences, if I'm not mistaken, or
A
at
little
least
bit.
one, because if people have been following along with the episodes, you've been keeping us all up to date. So I'll ask you, what have you been up to? What's the latest?
Moved to a different rental house. That was one thing, and then yeah,
Oh,
the conference in Malmo, Sweden, Engage U,
yes.
was what FileMaker conferences used to be, what DevCon used to be. Like,
Oh
if you
man.
think about like the ones that were really great, like the Marriott,
Yeah,
and
we probably you're like socially peaked probably in the what was the one is that Palm Desert where there was like you look down into the pit where all the chairs were in the bar and it was always just filled with people. That was probably the
yeah,
best. And then things kind of tapered off a little and then there's just
yeah.
really like no social aspect at all.
Yeah, the Desert Ridge
In
ones,
Austin.
there were some
Desert Ridge.
weirds.
Desert Ridge.
Yeah, and then the one in Florida was pretty good, but it's crazy expensive. Anyway, this one was like that. It was in a huge
Oh,
hotel.
Miami. You're talking about
Yeah,
Miami.
Miami,
Yeah, that was
Miami. Yeah, I have
insane.
some
Yeah.
pictures that should not be
No,
recirculated
don't
from
show
that one.
any of those
There was
pictures.
a
Yeah.
T-shirt competition that I won. Uh,
Dude,
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
We don't want to get an explicit rating on this
yeah.
episode, so you can skip
It's not
skip that.
explicit, but it was like, wow, I can't believe you wore that shirt. Um, so it was in a big hotel, and when you went down to the lobby, you see people from the conference, and then the conference facilities in the hotel were great,
Nice.
uh, and there was 200 people there, right? So this is approaching the
Wow.
size,
Of
this is
Engage.
of Engage, right? Well, I mean, Engage is 600.
Yeah, but if you
Um,
take out like file Claris people, it's like 500, right?
right.
And there probably weren't as many Claris people there, so there was just like a lot more Claris folks, like
Yeah,
Claris us folks, you
I
know?
guess that's true. There was five or six. Um, in Europe, there's actually more Claris partners by number than in the US.
Interesting.
But I think the total number of
You
Claris
mean per
customers,
capita?
no, the head count of
Oh,
partner
the actual total
companies.
count. Got it, got it,
Yeah.
got it, got it. Yeah. Okay.
Because I'm one again. I'm on my third, uh,
Look at you.
yeah, Claris partner company,
Oh,
education
welcome
partner.
back. Welcome back.
I know it's weird. And then I did it with the European wing of Claris, which is different. You get the licenses from a different company.
Hmm.
Um, uh, let's see. So
So what was the prevailing theme of that conference? I think it's always interesting to see what the primary focus was. I'm sure there were some interesting outliers, but what was like the through line from your
gosh, I don't know.
perspective?
Was there one? I mean, there was a lot of AI stuff, that's for sure. It was really kind of a lot of the things that you would normally see at a FileMaker conference, things on design, um, a lot of really techie things, really high level stuff, special classes on JSON, I think, and then several AI sessions. And I did a panel discussion on Clara Studio, hinting at some of
Hmm.
the things coming with that.
Interesting.
And that was very fun. Did a few
Nice.
podcast interviews, which people have seen from the previous episodes. Um,
Yeah.
and there was a training day before that, before the conference.
Okay.
So Alexis Allen did her brilliant
Yeah,
design
she was
training.
talking about it on one of our previous episodes.
Yep. And I did an AI class. Those were 3 hour classes.
Well,
And there was 30 people in the room.
so over 10% of the population of the entire conference was in your session on
Yes.
AI. That is hopeful. I'm glad to see that. So you're saying
Yeah.
internationally there's a lot of thirst around Claris AI.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, and it was a very hands-on class. Like in the class, every single person in the room actually got uh, AI embedded in their system. So they had a database with
Nice.
some sample data. They embedded it and then and put the script steps for semantic search and then performed a search on it. We had people going around
Excellent.
making sure they all did. It was really fun.
So
So
you were,
that's satisfying, right? You're not just seeing it done, you're
yeah,
actually doing it.
no,
Um,
you have to. Good. I'm glad to hear that.
yep.
The more people that really get an experience with it and have that aha moment, I think the more, I mean,
Yeah.
clearly the more adoption we'll see, but I think it's a lot of a fun aha moment that people will have.
Yeah.
Good
I'm
job.
doing.
And then you sent me a couple videos from that too, some
Mhm.
shorts. where you were able to set it up in a couple minutes. So
Yeah.
just to get people excited, like it's possible.
Yeah, I didn't put those in our feed, but there's other, if you go to YouTube, my YouTube, you can put there's a
Well,
couple
we'll
videos.
put them in the show notes
Yeah,
for
good
this
idea.
YouTube or for the YouTube and podcast
Yeah, I
listeners.
did. It was fun. I did one of them showing that you can actually integrate meaningful semantic search with 3 script steps,
Mm.
3 lines of code,
Embedding,
technically.
configure AI
Configuring,
account,
embedding, and perform
create,
search.
yeah, and then perform semantic search.
Yeah, I
Really,
mean,
that's it.
ideally
Yeah.
you'd have some set variables and stuff like that, but that's the
Mm.
minimum required,
Yeah.
and it would be meaningful. It would be, uh, and then so I showed configuration of that, and then showed some really cool. And then I'm doing a shootout. I'm going to be doing a series of shootouts, looking at different models and different ways to search and different ways to embed, and then like doing some samples side by side. It takes a lot of
Ooh,
work
I
to do
like
that, but
that.
it's really fun.
Which model did you use for your class? OpenAI or the
Yeah.
new support for Cohere?
I
Um,
did. I've got both of those working in a shootout. Cohere is the only one you can do for images, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't think.
well, the open source,
Right, right, right,
there are some clip ones there, open source ones that support image
right. But I don't
embeddings.
think any of the OpenAI ones at the moment support semantic search with images in FileMaker right now. I tried a whole bunch and they didn't work. So,
Yeah, you need to, right. The model, I mean, the embedding model needs to be implicitly trained
right.
for embeddings, just like it would be for multilingual use. I know that you were touching on some cool like Greek in
Yep.
English hybrid semantic
Any
searches just to show
languages. Yeah,
people
yeah,
yeah, I mean, there's natively support for 35 different languages just in OpenAI's models, for example.
yeah.
So, pretty
And
amazing.
yeah, text 3 small, I think. Yeah. Um,
Yes. Yeah, Text 3 Small it has the language support as well too. Excellent. Yeah, and the Cohere thing is new in 21 in
mhm,
the most recent release. There's also the image embedding support is new in 21, so those are some
mhm.
fun things people should check out. And then and of course, if people want updates on specifics about some of the conversations you had at the conference, just check out the previous episodes of this podcast.
Yep.
You did a great job there. And also the
Thanks.
last one that you had on there, you interviewed a Mr. Hold on, his name here.
It starts with an
Ryan
R.
Ryan
How does he
McCann.
pronounce it?
Yes,
That's the guy. Yeah.
McCann. Yeah. Tell us about this character. Who's this
So
guy?
he's the CEO, interim CEO of Claris. Big change.
What? What happened
Okay.
there?
You
Oh,
just did
okay.
a spit take.
I did.
That was a spit fake, is what that was, Chris.
That was a spit fake. Nicely done. It was definitely a spit fake.
So,
Yeah, big news, kids. Yeah.
okay, first of all, I love the guy. Having a conversation with him, he felt
He's
so
great.
completely open and honest and like totally AMA on it. Um,
Big
uh,
time.
Ask me anything. I, just in
Yep.
case anybody doesn't know that one. Probably everybody
For the
does.
kids.
Well, the kids all definitely know. Um,
Right. There are no kids listening.
yeah, and so I had a really good discussion with him. I will apologize to everyone because the audio was awful. I thought the new iPhone 16 would do a better job
I didn't
than
I
that.
I listened to it first and then I saw that you were recording the video and interestingly enough when you're watching it and you're seeing you guys it
Yeah,
like the audio isn't as disruptive but
yeah.
there were some good morsels in there. I will tell you I'll just react. I love Ryan McCann. I like and this is not honestly, I feel no need to kiss anybody's butt, actually. But I like him, like just from a personality standpoint. I
Hmm.
met him very early on in his trajectory. I love his pedigree. But really, it's just, yeah, it's about that. You know how like sometimes like there'll be a political candidate and they'll be like, oh, he's just someone or she's someone you'd like to have
Yeah.
a beer with.
Yep,
He's
yep,
one of
yep.
those guys. No, you
Well, he
wouldn't
lives in
have an
Central
actual beer.
California, right? He has a
He
big family.
commutes
He commutes a super long
five
way.
kids. Yep.
Yeah, five. Yeah, I thought it was maybe more, but yeah, 5 kids on a big
20. I think it's
ranch with a
20.
bunch of animals. I mean, really, really wholesome life.
Big
Uh,
time, and his attitude about well, and he's this is a goal that he's always wanted to have is to be a CEO. So he has an
mm,
amazing opportunity in front of him,
yeah.
um, and he's has some roots in the old regime, but I really think he's going to bring a fresh perspective. And you asked him a couple of really interesting questions, specifically about like what might be some of his areas of focus moving forward
Hmm.
into 2025, and what did you get from that?
I'm actually trying to remember. So, I mean, he was 2 weeks into the job or whatever when he came
Yeah,
to the
yeah,
conference. Um,
yeah. Well, he had some interesting things to say about focusing on AI.
yes, which is
He was,
Yeah, I'm kind of obvious, but the specifics remind me.
Yeah, so it seemed that he was laying out that a sort of a fresh perspective on AI might be necessary. So I don't
Mhm.
know. I mean, I'm sure we'll see a continuation of some of the, I don't know, if I'm being honest, I'll call them catch-up features. Like, semantic search actually predates, the language model boom, frankly. There's been the ability to do embeddings, prior to the, wide-scale use. So I wouldn't really call these modern, exciting
No,
features.
I
Now,
get that,
within
but I
our,
think it's actually huge bang for the buck. I think it's a really
oh, no
significant,
question about it. For
and
database
they've
folks,
yeah.
yes, for database folks who we search all the time, we're literally storing and retrieving data. So this is just
Hmm.
another better way to retrieve. And frankly, it's not an either or. It's something I want
Right.
to get into. You can do both. You can do
Yeah, of
hybrids with
course.
this stuff.
Yeah,
You can
yeah,
do
yeah.
matching with it too. It's not just about
Yep.
search. So it's amazing. But I mean, like, we are in a world where, like, you and I haven't done an episode in a couple of months, and literally, like, the AI landscape has changed radically since we've spoken last, and Claris hasn't.
Hmm.
So I think what I'm hopeful about is hearing some of the things that Ryan was saying
Hmm.
about his focus on AI, meaning, let's get a fresh perspective. We'll keep
Hmm.
doing what we're doing, is what kind of I got from that, but that we might have some exciting things coming in the new year, which I think is important for us as a community, because frankly, the world is watching, the subscribers are watching. There are other alternatives out there, and there will just be more and more and more. We want to keep people on the platform.
Right.
And I really got the impression that Ryan agrees, and that we might see some fun. I don't know. You and I are going to have a prediction episode to start off 2025, and I
Hmm.
think I might have some pretty bold predictions around that, as a tease, for that. So I am remaining hopeful. I've been known as a bit of a skeptic, and I actually am hopeful for Claris and AI in
Hmm.
2025. So
That's
I'll use
cool.
that as a tease for our next episode. How's
I,
that?
I guess I don't really feel like it's lacking a bunch of features because with an AI and API integration, you can just do a huge amount. You can do all the generative stuff you need. I'm
Yeah.
sure like if I saw some other uses,
Well, arguably, I guess maybe that's another good
tighter
point. You
integration.
you could do literally everything that you could do with the features, the new features in
Right.
21. You can do them with just API calls. So
Right. Right.
I
Right.
guess
Right.
maybe
Right.
that's
It's
probably an
just so much
important part of it
easier,
too.
right? Like, um,
It should be.
yeah.
It should be.
Well, I think one
That's
of the
big.
cool things with semantic search, for the first time, they actually have a script step that does an API call. You don't have to do
Yes.
a curl command and all the other stuff.
Trivia.
You just call a script
When
step, and it does
Yeah,
it
when
all.
you guys are at your holiday parties this weekend, you can regale your friends with interesting trivia that for the first time ever, there's a calculation function in FileMaker that does an API call. It's amazing.
That's right. Calculation
Um,
function and script step. That's right. That's right.
well, for sure, script steps, but calculation function running an API call, that's the first time ever in the platform. How about
Yeah.
that? It's the get embeddings function. So again, friends and neighbors
Hmm.
and your family, if you want to show them how smart you are, just bring that question up at your holiday parties. Everyone's just going to be like, "Oh my gosh, look at this genius." So
Yeah.
anyways, but
Wow.
yeah, a lot of fun stuff. So I, I'm excited that we're talking about AI. Literally Claris Talk plus AI, that the conferences have discussion on AI. I mean, after all, we had only three presenters at Engage, that were force fit into the conference back in February. So having more discussion and even a training day before the conference is a
Yeah.
very big deal. This is progress, so I'm
You,
excited for
Ronnie.
that.
Wasn't there more AI at Engage? You, Ronnie, and who?
Oh yeah, of course,
Yeah.
Ronnie. Yeah, I was just talking about the non-Claris people. So I guess
Oh,
they
yeah.
had
Okay.
they
Okay.
had
Okay.
some sessions too. Good,
Yeah,
good
for sure.
point. Yeah. So but anyhow, encouraging to see. Certainly happy that there's something in the platform. That
Hmm.
was a lot of progress. And as we look back on 2024 a little bit later in the episode, well, I guess maybe we did a little bit of it.
Yeah.
Like looking back into Claris in 2024, way to go. We've got some features. I may think they're a little bit just also ran catch-up features that you could
Yeah.
just do without those features, but so be it. They're in
Yeah.
there. You're excited from an educator standpoint. You're seeing like the look on people's faces when they use these
Yeah.
approachable techniques to introduce this, and I think that's really
I'm
important. So
definitely all about making it um, really easy to implement. I know there's stuff you can do that's really powerful, but it's really daunting to a lot of developers.
Of course it is. Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. And what good
And
is that at that point, right? So, and that's really what the mantra of Claris really is it they've really, and this is interesting to me because I've heard some people at Claris parrot this recently, and it is the goal was to make, like, technology more approachable for the common person. Not that we're all common people, but that's the goal, right?
mhm.
Yeah, so in that case, you can check that box next to semantic search features, I guess, right? And we'll
Yeah.
see what comes next as well. So exciting nonetheless. And in addition to that, Matt, there's been, so last time you and I did a podcast, we were talking about chain of thought, and it was probably
Yeah.
at least 2 months ago. So
So that was like, I think it was right after O1 came out, right?
yes,
It was
that's what it
O1
was. That's what,
preview, and now
thank you.
it's O1.
Yeah,
Um,
so working backwards from there, let's talk about some of the latest releases actually. So one of the things I think one of the things we can touch on a lot of the stuff that's happened is by just simply looking at this thing called
I remember the name.
this thing called, well, no, I just was trying to share my screen, but
Yeah, I
apparently,
saw it.
oh, you did.
Yeah,
Okay. All right, cool. So
like you had
did you
to.
see 12 days of AI? Here we go. Perfect. Yeah, there
There
we
we
go.
go.
12 days of OpenAI. Of course, it's the holiday season, and the folks over at OpenAI have been having some fun with it. They've been counting down. There's, I think, just 3 days left. But excuse me. But if we go all the way back to the beginning, let's talk about some of the fun stuff that they've introduced, and it'll just get us caught up. We're not going to linger really here. People can.
We
We
can
put
just
this
spend
link.
all the time on Santa mode. I think that's the only.
Yes, it's a month's great. My wife is already sick of it. She's
Me too.
tired of hearing it. So first of all, ChatGPT Pro. I was
200 a
the
month. Whew.
Yeah, I mean, I just sort of signed up because the reality, because you know what, I use Claude. I'm a big
Yep.
I bounce between models. I've sort of created this like synthesis between the two models where I kind of play them off each other.
Yeah.
And I found that Claude, at least recently, has been really stingy with the context window. I context
Mm.
stuff like crazy into those consumer tools like Claude and ChatGPT. And I'm really getting tired
Hmm.
of Claude telling me, hey, you can't do this for another 4 hours because I've basically been rate limited. Well, for $200 a month, and frankly, it's
Yeah.
a business expense.
So
That won't ever
what's the
happen.
context window changes then? I haven't read too many
Well,
details about
the changes haven't happened, but they're rate limiting. Something's going on with rate limiting. I'm telling you, as a daily user of Claude, I've been trying to get through this one project for the last few days, and I've missed hours and hours of productivity. Actually, I
it.
moved one thing into ChatGPT Pro because one of the things that you get is uninterrupted access to the models. And I'm sure there's some early release stuff. Frankly, it's 10 times more expensive for just a little bit more access and whatever. I guess I'm just being brand loyal. So I jumped on the ChatGPT Pro. I'll show you a little bit of that, the desktop application a little bit later. There's more that you can learn there. O1, as you said, moved out of preview into official, right? So that means there's room for another preview to come potentially at some point.
Yep.
They talked about, I don't think this is super relevant to the Claris community, but reinforcement fine tuning, a little bit more support for fine tuning, which is great. Sora. So Sora came out. It's a lot of fun to look at the text to video and text to image stuff. I think I've seen more sort of professional use case opportunities
Hmm.
in the text to image space, just from an creative ideation standpoint. But text to video is just sort of like just fun. Do things with your cat and whatever, videos. Sora came out, immediately crashed, like the whole world wanted access to it. Um, I think they allow up to 480p, whereas some of the other ones that have come out recently, like Pika and Flux, I think at least one of those has a 4K option. So, anyways, there's a big space race going on for text to video. I think by this time next year, it's just going to be like this is how we make things. But Sora's fun. You can go check it out. Then they announced your favorite thing. Oh no, Canvas. So we've talked about this before. As a
Mm-hmm.
matter of fact, when we get to some of my favorite things, I'm not going to sing next time around. We're going to talk about our favorite things from 2024, and this is on my list. Not just something specifically Canvas, But the idea of, hey, we're gonna we're gonna get rights protection if you whistle too much of that song. Actually, specifically the this whole idea of the two column, you've heard me wax on about this in previous episodes.
Mm-hmm.
There's the artifacts in Claude, Canvas in OpenAI, and
Hmm.
a lot of people don't know, but Copilot also released Pages, which is like a multiplayer version of this. So this was already out, but they in October, but they sort of emphasized it a little bit. And then OpenAI went on to, oh, ChatGPT and Apple Intelligence. We're going to talk about Apple Intelligence and some of our favorite things in 2024 too, maybe. And then your favorite, advanced voice with Santa mode. So, Santa mode is basically the one of the voices now. So, if you and your loved ones happen to believe in Christmas, then and Santa, then you know that he's been busy answering everybody's questions on OpenAI in ChatGPT Pro. He's one of the they do some little fun holiday spirit stuff there. So I appreciate that. I am a lover of Christmas, and I don't want to offend Santa, of course, especially this time of year when he's reading through my letter. So
Gonna
fun
get
times
coal.
if you haven't, yeah, you know what the funny thing is? That's my brother's name. So imagine how awkward that was every Christmas, or at least on St. Nick's. But the big thing is advanced mode. Now, if people have not played with advanced mode, I'm going to get to this a little bit in Gemini 2, but let's just say that Gemini 2 uh, live video, I don't even know, we'll see what they call it in a second, but advanced mode has live video, which means that down on the bottom, when you go into advanced mode, you can talk to it, but you can also hit the little video button. We're not going to do
Hmm.
it here because we get sort of a weird effect, but I encourage everybody to play with it. It is, as my wife described, creepy. And what that means is just like it can observe everything you're doing. So like every
Hmm.
now and then I just throw it up and just be like, what am I doing here? And like last night I said, hey, Santa, what am I doing? Oh, it looks like you're in a fun, festive room with the fire going and a Christmas tree, and you happen to be watching Milwaukee Bucks on TV. And oh, your cat just entered the room. Like,
Hmm.
so those are the
Narrating
kind
your
of,
life. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, those are the what's seemingly impractical things. But one of the things that I had included in my presentations in 2024, I believe I even showed it. I don't know. I guess maybe I didn't actually show it. It hadn't come out yet, but a demonstration of somebody just using a device, moving through, like doing everything from looking at code and it's explaining the code and actually pointing out an error
Hmm.
to pointing it out the window and going, where am I? And it's like, oh, you're in North London in this certain district. Or, glancing across the room and going, wait, where did I put my glasses? And then it says, oh, your glasses are over here. When you walk by, you put them down next to the pencil case. So I think there's a tremendous amount of practical application
Yeah.
for this video capture. I like big time. And so if you guys want to play with it and have some fun with it, check out advanced voice and then hit the little video button. Um, and then um, and then I'll show you something in Gemini 2 in a second. But then projects, this is just sort of a catch-up feature because it's an organizational tool in ChatGPT.
Hmm.
Claude also has had projects since like September, so they're just kind of catching up there. And then they formalized ChatGPT search, made it universally available and a little bit easier to invoke within your browser somehow or another. I haven't figured that out yet. And then they some developer tools like OpenAI's O1, like the real-time API
Hmm.
improvements. That's the kind of their not advanced voice, but the other voice. The one that like when you can't use advanced voice, it defers to that other one, the one you can't
Right.
interrupt.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Or
some
tap to
new,
interrupt now, I think.
yeah, it's there you go. I like that. That's a good way to differentiate. And then some fine tuning, whatever. And then so we've got a few days left. How many days was that? We've got 9, 10, 11, 12, and there are some signals out there, my friend, that indicate that there's at least a greater than zero chance that we see maybe like a GPT 4.5
Yeah.
preview or something like that
I think it's
coming.
going to be
So
AGI. Full
that
AGI.
I will. Here's a pro tip. Here's a teaser. I will not be predicting AGI in 2025. I'll say. Also, just last week, my gosh, what a week it's been, let alone year. Gemini 2.0. A lot of really interesting stuff coming out of there. A lot of discussion about agentic. We're in the agentic era. I just want to caution our faithful listeners that agents are getting thrown around a lot. First of all, this is my tease for
And we have a
2025.
new word, agentic, I guess, huh?
Yeah, agentic. Agentic workflows, agentic processes that essentially leverage agents. Now,
Mhm.
I want to caution people as they wrap their head around what agents are. In our preview of 2025, we're going to talk about agents, and we're going to get people excited about it and what it really is, and maybe how there potentially could be a facsimile of that type of functionality within the Claris platform already. How about that for a tease?
That's a good
Um,
tease.
but some companies like, for example, Microsoft are referring to agents as just sort of like these prepackaged things that they gave instructions to, and you can invoke, kind of like a template, right? So I don't want people to get confused with that. An agent actually means, um, it's like a loop of tasks that a language model does instead of just one task and one response. It creates its own plan, executes on its plan, leverages tools like web searching and Python, and then evaluates what its exit parameter is, like its answer, and then validates it and then presents it to you. That's essentially, and it's autonomous, which is a little bit spooky, but
That's chain of thought. Yes, no,
yeah,
part of it.
excellent. It absolutely leverages chain of thought pretty significantly. So yes, so there's that. The other thing, and then we'll just kind of move on from these guys here is if you have Google AI Studio, which you should because you can get it for free and you can play with all the latest and greatest Gemini models, including the 1 million and 2 million token window ones that help you evaluate video up to an hour-long video at a time, which you should have that experience in your life if you're curious about AI. And the latest one, which is similar to the advanced mode video, is the Gemini 2.0 Flash. If you go into um, open or AI Studio from Google, you'll be able to again hit a little button with a camera icon on it, and it'll be able to describe what you're doing in your surroundings, so people can get kind of familiar with that. So I encourage everyone to check that out. It's fun. Again, I freaked my wife out a little bit because we were just sitting we were sitting at the table after dinner and she was setting up like her little Christmas cookie jars, and so I just popped on Santa mode, and in the middle of it I was on video and she didn't know it, and so she hears me pop in advanced voice all the time. She's fully annoyed by that, I'm sure. But then all of a sudden it goes, oh, and it looks like someone's setting up some lovely Christmas jars in the corner over there. I particularly like the Santa one, as you can imagine. And she literally stopped in her tracks. She's like, wait, what? Like looking around, like, what did you do? Like that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
anyways, it's fantastical. Your thoughts on any of that stuff?
I actually haven't played with the video stuff yet. Um, I advanced voice I definitely use. I've actually been using GPT a lot for Greek learning.
Oh, interesting.
Because it's pretty insane. If you have a question about like what's this root word, where did it come from?
Are you
You know,
using advanced voice for that, or are you just talking
just
about it as a
texting, but also
resource?
advanced voice. It doesn't
Okay.
pronounce Greek all that perfectly,
Okay.
so it's not as useful for that as I wish it would be, like for conversational. Um,
Yeah. So advanced voice maybe isn't like perfect on if you want to use it to learn a new language, for
just
example, on like
GPT-4 actually is
pronunciation.
pretty great,
Oh,
and
okay.
if you
All
set
right.
up a
Gotcha.
custom GPT, yeah,
Cool.
4 is pretty
Hey,
great. I mean, O1 is slow, so it's not. Uh,
yeah, and I
and
guess
it's
I would say we talked about O1 pretty extensively in the context of our chain of thought episode,
mhm,
but
mhm.
I would say for those that maybe missed that, that's most of the world. Um, the O1 is not meant for every task.
Right.
O1 is deliberately in I mentioned before that agents like it does a plan and then it executes a plan. To some degree, that is what O1 is doing, and it's purposely doing it intentionally. You and I have talked a
Yep.
lot about system one versus system two, and we've framed
Mhm,
up that psychological concept against like the experience we're having with language models. The heuristic driven
mhm.
training data response, immediate streaming answer of I ask ChatGPT something and it comes back with an answer is just like system one all day long.
Yeah.
The peak into system two that we've gotten so far, to some degree, not fully, but is O1 and its reasoning. And you can see that when you just pick O1 as the model and you ask it a question, it thinks a lot longer,
Yeah.
right? It also burns a lot more tokens. I would say as a pro tip, people should click the little drop down, um, the little drop down of like it says thinking, and then it says like there's like an arrow,
Yeah.
a carrot or something. You can see what its plan is. It's awesome. You can actually
Mm-hmm.
see what a plan, looks like, and that can kind of get you ready for,
Do
agentic.
you play the New York Times Connections game?
No, I
It's
don't. Tell me.
it's really good. So I don't know if I could describe the whole thing. It's a it gives you 16 words and they're groups of four, and they're all these red herrings in it to try to make you guess a group of four words that look like they're a group.
Okay.
And three of them will be perfect, but one of them won't quite fit. But a much subtler meaning will connect four words perfectly. It can take between, I don't know, a few minutes and a half an hour to solve it as a human. If you take a
Interesting.
screenshot of it and you upload it to GPT-4, it does no idea. It just fails. You put it in
Interesting.
O1 and it is eerie. Like it's perfect, basically.
What a great anecdote for that. Yes. And here's why it's actually so incredible. The training, there are it achieved excuse me, it meaning O1, OpenAI O1 versus
Mhm,
ChatGPT 4.
mhm,
There, it was a different trained model, but its intelligence and data set wasn't necessarily the big news there. It's just its method,
right.
right? So the thing that's so fascinating is you just gave us a perfect example. This is a puzzle, a quiz, or an
Mhm,
experience that essentially the same model, plus or minus 10% intelligence, let's say, just simply can't do. And then by applying a methodology, um, it actually answers it properly. And to kind of set people up for the system one, system two, which we will talk about ad nauseum
I
moving
also really want to
forward.
know how that's going to come into FileMaker. Like it's really obvious if you use a for call for summary or write a letter or whatever. But where's O1 going to come in?
Well, we do have support for it. I mean, API support for
Yeah.
it. But the reality of it is, I don't think people in FileMaker should use it. And here's why. Because you should be using planning and multi-step API calls to whatever model you're sending as
Hmm.
part of your normal, tool set.
Hmm.
Like you can achieve that. Like you can say, like, for
With a
example,
prompt. Yeah.
yeah, or multiple
A
prompts.
system
That's the
prompt and a
first
user prompt and multiple user prompts. Yeah.
multiple user prompts triggered at different times in the process, right?
Hmm.
So like our intuition platform at iSolutions is essentially, and I don't want to say the word just, it is essentially it's a series of embedded prompts that have tools and memory at its disposal and the intelligence to go call other prompts and to do sequences of events and know
Hmm.
when one thing is done and recall things from previous things. That again is like what we're talking about here. It's just a
Hmm.
multi-step approach. So
Hmm.
I would say architecturally, you can achieve this already.
Right.
So you wouldn't really need O1. So I would say I wouldn't spend too much time trying to figure out how to fit O1 into the FileMaker integrations, but instead into your tool use, right?
Yeah.
Um,
I gotta
um,
wonder, like looking for a pattern in data or something. I don't know. Maybe it could do some things more easily than you could do by setting it up and doing all the work yourself.
well, actually, the other thing is that, oh man, we'll probably talk about this in the future. I just will mention it because it's kind of adjacent to what you just said, is I'm getting the same spidey senses again. I don't want to do a whole off ramp on this, but I'm getting the same spidey senses recently, Matt, that I got in like 2019, 2020, like before the emergence of the language model stuff
Hmm.
around quantum computing, specifically in
Yeah.
AI. And the
Yeah.
whole qubits thing, dude, like,
Yeah.
man, I mean, it makes me not feel smart at all, but
That
also
yeah,
it's like
the recent news where they had a
from
chip,
Google.
yeah, chip from Google that performed a math calculation in 5 minutes or something that would
Yeah.
have taken, or 30 minutes, that would have taken trillions of years for the fastest supercomputers to achieve the same thing.
Yeah, it was
Or
the
maybe I'm
quantum,
blowing
yeah,
it
they're
out, but yeah,
no, actually you're
yeah.
not. And the interesting thing is one of the benchmarks that they're um that they're talking about is that it essentially has the ability in short order to like decrypt even our strongest encryption methods, right? So there's this really interesting philosophical thing that's going to happen when our computing power, de facto computing power, allows us to break into anything. Like, so what does
Right.
security mean? The answer is we just end up using that's leveraging that same power for probably blockchain,
Encrypt.
some sort of
Yeah.
blockchain methodologies or something. But very fascinating stuff there. Again, we won't off ramp, but that is definitely something if people are curious to check out. It'll definitely bust your brain. The only other thing I would
No idea
say,
how that when that's going to come down to realm of reasonable, you know.
no, yeah, people say years, probably around the same time, and maybe because of, or maybe one is because of the other around when AGI. I mean, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
AGI, I take a very quantum approach to AGI, because one of the really interesting things about well, like Schrodinger's cat, right, is
Hmm.
the superposition concept of there's a cat in the box
Hmm.
with some poison. It's either alive or it's dead. But
But
you
it's
never
both.
it's both until you actually observe it.
Observe it.
The crazy thing about the qubits is they are ones and zeros floating back and forth in superposition until they're observed. Then they're defined. So that's how I feel AGI is. No, people that predict
Mm-hmm.
AGI, it's silly. There's no common definition of it. We've talked about this
Mm-hmm.
before. But like many things, we will know it when we see it. When the entire world goes, oh yeah, that's AGI, we'll have that sort of quantum approach to it. So that's what I think
Yeah.
is going to happen. So since we lost a bunch of people now, I will say one other thing that's worth checking out that's happened, and I actually set up this computer to show it to you, but I'm not even going to bother with it because it's sort of like fine. Was something called computer control from Anthropic.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear about this?
I've been looking at a different one like that that I want to talk about. I haven't played with that one yet, but I've been playing
Tell me
with
about the
Sim
one you found.
Theory. So simtheory.ai is the one I've been playing with for a while, and it has a virtual computer. So basically, you can
Yes.
set up an instance of Windows
Yep.
like you do with AWS. You can install on it whatever the hell you want. For example, I installed FileMaker and opened up a database. And then you can give it a prompt like, create a sample record in this database. Or one that I've been trying to work on is read these address labels with all these different kinds of errors in it and interpret the data and create records in FileMaker for that. Because you could do that. I mean, you could clean it, right?
Yeah.
But
Yep.
but if you could do that in a prompt and have it
Well,
actually figure out how to operate your FileMaker database and do it,
yes. Let me ask.
but I'll
So,
tell you,
but
it failed. It's really spectacularly failing so far.
well, but hold on. Double click on that a little bit because I want to make
Hmm.
sure people
Hmm.
are following what you're saying is actually happening.
Right.
You're saying that, and this is the same thing with computer control. You're saying that a model is taking control of movement and actions on your machine.
Yes, on a virtual machine,
So
which is even better because
a
it's
virtual machine,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
And sort of the promise of this is, as you would imagine, someday we can do this with our own machines. So first of all, how do you feel about that? Like, what's your trust level on if that was available today? Would you like load it on your machine?
Um, to have it watch my machine as I work.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, my trust level is not there yet for that.
Okay,
Maybe if
fair
Apple did
enough.
it, but I don't know because I trust Apple's security more
I
because
think
they
I
can
think
keep
it
stuff so local, you know.
absolutely,
Um,
man. That's what I think needs to
and
happen is
but
we
if I
need
could, if I could limit it, like while I was working in FileMaker, if it could watch and help me with things, like watch the screen and then also do mindless tasks. I think the first thing that we're going to see significant use of this tool is mindless tasks that can be repeated that are not so simple but actually take a little intelligence to figure out. Like for example, reading and interpreting data in one source and converting it and putting it into another source that's clean and actually understanding what it is. Um,
Well, so doesn't that sort of breathe some life into RPA a little bit, robotic process automation, which like was a big, a mildly lukewarm topic, and then all of a sudden language models came around and everyone's just like, yeah, never mind. Well,
mm,
now we're actually talking about literally RPA driven by those models, essentially controlling your computer. I will add that Gemini 2 does have a live, like sort of broadcast thing where you can show your screen, and it doesn't do control, but it does observation. So like there's people playing video games and it's telling it what the next thing to do is. Of course, it's doing some interesting training where it's like hey, help me, you do the training, I'll do the clicking, and we'll teach people how to do this thing, right? But the computer control is the thing that's missing from that, and it's in what you
Hmm.
described. And if people are curious, you can go check out the beta for computer control from Anthropic, which is the maker of the Claude product.
Yeah.
And fascinatingly, this is how it works. What's new is literally a function called computer control that will move your mouse and perform actions like click or type, right?
Yep. That's what this does too. Yeah.
Which which is essentially the CRUD of, the UI world, right?
Hmm.
Like being able to interact, click, and do those actions.
Great.
That's a big deal. And that's, there's a lot of possibilities, but certainly a lot of trust is necessary. But the other thing that's
Yeah.
interesting is
I
how is
could.
it seen? And the way that the computer control in Anthropic works is actually kind of fascinating. What it's doing is just taking a million little, not a million, but like tons of little screenshots and
Hmm.
interpreting those as images, just
Yep.
like any other vision model would do. And then it's, overlaying that with XY positioning on screen and then providing instructions to the tool use
Right. That's how
for
it
the
can
mouse to
figure
perform
out
stuff.
like a unique FileMaker database that no one has ever seen before, right? It clicks into a field and it takes a screenshot and it sees, oh, that field is highlighted. And then it
Yep.
says, oh, and the label next to the field is company. So it knows I'm in the company field, I can do something. And then it types, right? It simulates the
Yes.
keyboard and types. And you can
So
watch it. You could watch it do all of that. And then if it does something wrong, you can interrupt it, update this prompt, and then let it go again. It's really kind of fun. If it was really fast, it would be really um,
yeah, I mean,
fun to play
processing
with.
overhead is certainly going to
Yeah, yeah,
be
yeah.
something. I think chips will make, future chips or maybe some of the new chips coming up will make that a lot more realistic. But it's interesting. It's now, this is
Yeah.
what's happening. These are things that are out there. I, for one, yeah, if I can, like, if like Apple allowed me to do it, I would just have that on all day, man. Like we are, I and we, my team over here, we aggressively record everything, right?
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, we've gotten to the point where we're like, let's just have this meeting and it'll be 2 hours long. We're just going to go around the room and we're just going to word vomit and respond, give somebody else the floor, word vomit, respond. Hey, let's invite a couple other experts on this topic in and then let them go. And then at the end, we just have AI process the whole thing and turn it into various different,
Mhm.
outputs. I would like that on the desktop too, right? Like I would like to be able to say, hey, what was that thing I went to the other day? And, let's put that together with the thing I accomplished last week, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So that might be some of the
Yeah,
stuff that
there
we
could be
see
some
coming.
huge things about it. Like, I mean, if it's just kind of watching all the time, frequently when I go searching for an email, I won't be able to find it because the search is so stupid. Um,
Yeah, well, it made for some good these make for
yeah,
good demos, but then like it quickly falls off, like because you won't have patience and whatnot.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
If I could say like
so
find the link that I need to follow from the Claris order so that I can install FileMaker on this new computer, you know?
yes,
Um,
or yeah, do an update, or yeah, whatever, like maintenance type things. But yeah,
yeah.
I think the promise of what we were told can happen with RPA is now achievable, even at the level of beta that these things are at.
All right, so you got some cool
Um,
stuff we're looking at here. So
Yeah,
this is
so first of all, this is the Claris Talk AI podcast custom GPT. And the reason we didn't have it sooner is because GPTs, I guess they have to, but they have these like wacky like trademarking things. So if you're searching for it in the GPT store, it's public, but you have to do CL at symbol RIS, because if you put Claris in pretty much in basically anything or FileMaker, it rejects it. And there's no path to getting approval like you could on YouTube, for example.
mm,
So anyways, what this is in the show notes. So if we urge people to play with it. And so what we did was we created a custom GPT that essentially just has one knowledge base, the transcripts of every one of our podcasts. So, for example, I'm going to ask it, what were Chris's favorite new AI tools or uh, methods? I don't know, right? Whoops.
oh
And
no, when you use AI, just leave the spell errors in. It doesn't
honestly,
matter. It
I'm
just
only
reads right through it.
I'm only doing that because I'm sharing the screen, but
Right, right, right.
I have just disregarded spelling and formatting. Like it's gross the way that I respond to it, but it doesn't care. It knows exactly what I'm talking about. And also Matt's. So what I've just asked for those that are listening, what are Chris's favorite new AI tools or methods, and also Matt's? Kind of a non sequitur, but let's see what it thinks were my favorite things. And essentially looking back on 2024, what were my favorite things? And so let's see, custom GPTs, a little meta. Okay,
That's a
cool.
little
Uh,
redundant. Yeah, recursive.
it is definitely recursive. Vector databases, of course, we talked, ad nauseum about those. We talked about prompt engineering. Oh, and of course, machine learning and sports analytics. Matt is a big fan of FileMaker and AI integration, semantic search development, and AI-powered charts. And oh no, Matt does not like AI-powered charts at all. He likes dashboards. I think that's maybe what it's figuring out in
Well,
there.
church and
So
dashboards. But yeah.
there we go. A little punctuation, eats, shoots, and leaves thing going on there. So, anyways, just a plug for people to check this out. It really will dive deep into a lot of the discussions we've had. There's a bunch of guests on there. Um, and actually, let's just linger here for just a moment.
Mhm.
Matt, let's start with totally unprepared here. Who is your favorite guest of 2024?
Oh my God. Actually,
And then we'll say your least favorite guest after that. First, your favorite. Just kidding. Who's your
so
favorite guest?
Ryan.
Oh yeah, cool. The most recent guest who you just talked to. Love
So
it.
if you
Good answer.
so here's what I learned in music school when you're learning conducting. If you ask a conductor what his favorite piece of music is, if you ask like Leonard Bernstein or whatever, the answer should always be whatever work they're working on right then.
Makes sense. Okay,
You
love
can't
it.
say it's your pat answer can't be Beethoven Symphony 5, or whatever, Mozart Symphony 40 in my case probably. um, no, Mahler Symphony 5.
I love it. Love
Anyway,
this already.
and
Um,
we should get out of the symphonies anyway. So yeah, that's kind of thing, right? That was one of the most
okay.
recent ones I've done. It was a really satisfying interview. Um, the one with
And
Wesley was also super great.
yeah, that was a
Uh,
good one too, by the way.
yeah. And my friend Joey, and also the kid, right? The kid who's like 17, who was at the
Oh
conference.
yeah, that was
He was there with his
crazy. That was
dad, and he's a FileMaker dude, and he's kind of like asking him he sees, what's FileMaker look like to a web developer of that age? Is it like a totally archaic thing? And he's like, no, there's some really useful tools, and I connect with it, and this is what it does well, and this is how it fits in my workflow.
so hopeful. And yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
we can't even imagine that perspective anymore, right? So
right.
yeah, that's very cool. Well,
Yeah,
you
I mean, he
stole the
started
thunder
with it
bullets.
way before, at an age way before you and I could have,
That's
would have.
amazing.
Hmm.
That is his definitely influenced by his parents. I can't
Yeah,
imagine that he was watching cartoons and he saw a commercial for
yeah.
FileMaker or anything like that.
Actually,
Um,
I started doing databases when I was 17, so 18, something like
I was 19,
that.
so but yours was like 72 years ago or something like that.
Yeah,
Mine was only like
yeah. It
30.
was when ENIAC came out. I was all over it.
All right, we just lost our one 17-year-old listener. Well
They're like
done.
ENIAC. What's that?
I would say my favorite guest of the year is probably the guest that we've had twice. That's Ronnie Rios. We had a
Mm,
fun conversation
yeah. So he
that
was my
people
least
may
favorite
yeah, so he was your least favorite. And
because of the Star Trek stuff. I mean,
yeah, we,
no, that was great.
it didn't get a ton of listens, but if you all have some time over the holidays to just catch up on fun stuff and let your mind wander, I'm really proud of the
Philosophical.
Star Trek episode. It was very
Yeah,
philosophical.
yeah.
I will tell listeners and potential viewers that I know nothing about Star Trek. Like literally that was
Mm,
my only exposure was that episode and it was so much fun. And I think we really stumbled across of like really some interesting philosophical and ethical discussions about AI.
hmm.
And so that was fun. And then of course Ronnie was so generous to come on again when FileMaker whatever 20 or whatever
21 one. Yeah.
version. Yeah. No, the one before that, I don't know,
Oh,
whatever it was. He came on the semantic search stuff, and he came on and
yeah.
right when it was fresh out of the box, he walked us through it and he did an excellent presentation.
Yep.
So that would be fun. And I would say my least favorite guest was
You're gonna really do this?
no, I'm sort of teasing people. Let's play a
Yeah.
rapid fire round of favorite or least favorite. Which bucket are you
Oh
going to
my
throw
God.
the following either concepts or tools or whatever? We're going to do a rapid fire round. This will be fun,
Let's
I
start with
promise you.
least favorite.
Okay, well, no, I'm going to give you things and
All
then
right, all right, all right, all right.
you're gonna tell me if it's favorite or least
Got
favorite,
it.
okay? Well, some softballs. Chain of thought prompting techniques.
That was way up there.
So
Yeah,
favorite
favorite.
or not favorite?
Yeah,
Okay.
favorite.
Sora from OpenAI.
Haven't played with it yet.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah,
Um, how
just a few
about
days ago. So,
fair enough? That's right, actually. That was just recent. Artifacts, canvas, pages, that's split screen UI
I
kind
was
of.
all about it for a while. And then I ran into so many limitations with it. So I stopped using it for coding type stuff.
Hmm.
Um, and I did it a little bit with like writing, creative writing
Well,
and stuff
first,
like that. But
coding, like FileMaker coding,
yeah,
or okay,
yeah.
that's
So
fair.
like writing a calculation in FileMaker.
Well, I think that's an important distinction because if you're doing coding like JavaScript or any of the supported preview ones, then
Right.
it's really helpful to have the
Yeah,
preview
exactly.
there as well as the code. So that's worth
Right, right,
mentioning.
right. And FileMaker,
Um,
of course, is very limited because you can't work on a script in real time.
right.
Um, you
Right.
can,
Actually, you said that to Ryan, by the way. You said, "Hey, it would be great if, yeah, you know what? This is an interesting topic." And
mhm,
we're still in favorite, not favorite, but
yeah,
you said, "Hey, Ryan, it would be really cool." And poor Ryan, he's just like, "Yeah,
I do remember
sounds good."
this.
Yeah, and you
Yeah,
said it would be great if we could like paste something from ChatGPT into Script Maker, essentially, right? Like we can't do that. We can't like,
right. Okay.
leverage these
Monkey Bread
tools.
software has a function that you can
Okay.
copy a script into text. And so it'll take the whole entire script and it'll
Oh
put it
yeah,
into a
okay.
text object,
So that's how you get it out into ChatGPT. Yep.
except it can only read certain amounts. So if you have like a set variable or something like that, it can only see what's on screen. The function that it
Okay.
has so far can't actually click into it and read the whole long calculation. So
Interesting then.
it'll read all the script steps, but it can't really read all the calculations and all the deep stuff that
Okay.
kind of what is really matters. So
I
you
would
could take that
say,
text, you could put it in a ChatGPT, and then you could have it fix a lot of things and do a lot of things with it. But then you'd have to get it back into FileMaker, which is complex XML. There are tools, but there's
yeah,
nothing easy.
I would say my immediate reaction when I heard you, and people can go listen to Ryan's reaction.
Mm.
My immediate reaction to that was poor Ryan. That was my first thing. And then no, but then secondly, it was like, hey, let's first principles that. Instead of being able to copy and paste and
I
interact with
know.
another tool,
Have it
let's
be
just build
direct.
it into the like just Dev
Yeah.
Assist, right? So anyways, just wanted to, all right, how do you feel about Dev Assist tools like Cursor or Devin, those AI coding or even Copilot?
Hmm.
How do you feel about those? Favorite or not favorite?
See, if I was a developer in those other areas, I think I would love them and use them all day. I think that's
Yeah.
obvious.
If
But
we're that persona, it's a favorite
yeah,
for
but I guess
sure.
just focusing on the FileMaker training because that's the world I'm in right now. I
Yep.
mean, I do a ton
Yep.
of AI like integration into it, but all the code is FileMaker because I'm trying to find the most convenient, most easy way to integrate as many use cases as possible to the people who I'm working with.
Of course. Makes
And so
sense.
those tools don't apply that much. But I also do a lot of writing, but not coding. But as I said a minute ago, just
You have to love the canvas and artifact thing when you're writing. I do. Like literally, man. Like I
yeah,
love it because it doesn't interrupt. Like I don't have to get the whole document back every time.
yeah.
I have I was just working on I have a really important meeting later today and I was working on my talking points and it would just put the talking points on the right-hand side and I was just having these conversations and going back and forth and
Hmm.
only when I told it to go do edits would it do it. Canvas has something really cool where it will highlight and sort of comment certain areas in the canvas and allow you to apply it much like you would a comment in
Like
like a
as you're
Google Sheet or
working, or
something.
like as
Yeah,
a
as you're
oh,
working,
okay.
like depending on how you're prompting it.
Hmm.
So I really like I've mentioned this before, but that is firmly that user interface like modality
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
firmly in my favorite. And as a matter of
Yep.
fact, I think we're gonna see it everywhere.
Yeah, I think so too.
And
It's a hit.
so it's a hit. O1, reasoning models, favorite or not favorite?
Um, I would go with not favorite. Like this is for personal for my use, right?
Yeah,
This
yeah, of
is what we
course.
really
Yeah.
not favorite, not just because of the time, but because I don't have a PhD in any math field where it
Yeah,
actually
that's
would be really useful because it
that,
does
by the way.
PhD level
Thank you
reasoning
for pointing
that
that out because I was talking about the delta between the training between 4 and O1, and most of it is in science, domain
hmm
knowledge and
hmm
science and really academia. So I think that's fair.
Yeah,
All
see, my
right, then
PhDs are in philosophy and theology, and it's just not really helpful there. I don't have
of
PhDs in.
course. Yeah, which by the way is another reason that everyone should go rewatch our Is AI Sentient or is AI conscious
Hmm.
conscious, sorry, episode, because you really shared some amazing knowledge there. Okay, favorite, not favorite, 1 million or 2 million token windows in models like Google
That's
Gemini.
that's going to be favorite
Yeah,
when I can fully put it in. So I mean, the idea is absolutely a favorite for sure. Because
I
I
will.
have really long historical chats that I really want to have a window in. I'm not going to use it for video type stuff, but for a
I,
lot of the other custom GPTs, if you will, that I use, I really want a very, very long token window for that. And also for FileMaker stuff, right? To be able to have an
yep.
API call that has much more in it than you could do right now.
Well, yeah, actually, I'll throw another interesting thing about why it might be useful for FileMaker.
Mhm,
I found what I thought was like the smallest scope starter solution in FileMaker,
mhm,
which is the assets one because it has like one table, I think. And I did a DDR, an XML DDR
mhm.
thing on it, and then I threw that into the tokenizer, which told me what kind of token window is
Yep,
necessary. It
yep.
was around like 350,000 tokens just for
Wow.
that. So if we're imagining, or people are
Interesting.
imagining the ability to snip, do like a uh like a CRISPR type approach to
Right.
steal a medical tech term to our code, which is what would be kind of Devassist and FileMaker. We need token windows.
Yep, yep, yep.
For me, as a tease into our what's predictions for 2025, I'm going to talk a lot about token windows and
Hmm.
my expectation that they will grow exponentially and what that means. Specifically, for me, it's firmly in the favorite
It'll be
because
arithmetically, it won't be exponentially, but anyway.
oh, yeah, fair. See, there's that philosophy major
That's not
coming out.
that's math. That's not philosophy.
So, says you. So for me, I love the token windows. Much like you just said, I am a context stuffer. I have conversations, literally a single conversation in either Claude or ChatGPT that are from a customer engagement that would start in like April or something. And I throw every transcript in, every email thing, whatever, and I'm constantly asking it questions and having it audit against things.
Hmm.
That requires large tokens. I do think that media, we've done some use case work with like helmet cams and body cams as far as analyzing video for training purposes and personal safety.
Yeah,
Amazing things and you need, so just so people understand the math,
totally.
it's for an hour-long video, it's essentially a million tokens just to even be able to process that, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, it's gonna be great. And just to be clear, we have 2 million tokens available to us in Google AI Studio. You can use one of their models in there and play around with it for yourself without any token cost. You get an API key, but they oddly don't charge you for that.
That's weird.
Um, yeah, it is weird. So,
So
okay,
cheap.
then
I just called
it
it.
is
That's so
cheap.
cheap.
So let's see. Last topic for favorite, not favorite or not favorite or whatever I've been calling it. Apple
Thank
Intelligence.
God you were going to ask me this one. Apple what?
Yeah,
It's going
intelligence.
to be very much not favorite. It's a pretty big downer. I mean, I got an iPhone 16 just so I can kind of play with it, and it's just, yeah,
Yeah.
not there yet.
First of all, working backwards from what you just said,
Hmm.
I I am confused and I shouldn't be, but I don't think you need an iPhone 16 to run Apple Intelligence. And I say that because I don't have an iPhone 16 and it
15 or
is at least
16.
doing,
It has to
oh,
have a certain
15.
level
Okay.
chip. Hmm.
Got it. Okay. So I have 15 that's working with that. I was surprised when I saw when they're okay. So first we talked a lot about Apple.
Hmm.
Like, we thought, we speculated a little bit on what was going to come out and what did come out. And of course, that is important to us in the Claris community because this is, a subset. We have to keep reminding Apple of this, but we're a subset of the Apple community, right?
Yeah,
Not just from personal brand choice, but our tool set is there. And one of the challenges, frankly, without exposing anybody's laundry or
hmm,
trade secrets, the primary driver for why we don't have Devassist in FileMaker is legal reasons. It literally is because Apple, at least at the beginning of the year or two
hmm.
years ago, Apple legal says no, we will ship no product that has LLM influence in it. So I think the minimum thing that was achieved when Apple Intelligence came out is that they released their Apple Foundation models, which I'm still a little fuzzy on whether we
What they're
have
trained
any.
on. Yeah.
I don't. Well, we did get we actually found out. Actually, interesting trivia. Remember, they exposed that they have their own web crawler. So all this time about like personal data and we don't scrape and pull all this stuff, they've just been scraping the whole time, just like everybody else. And they didn't tell anybody about it. I think people knew about it, but they didn't tell anybody they could turn it off until they already did their first pass. I'm not saying they're being nefarious, but just it's worth noting that it's impossible to do it. I mean, because we speculated, well, how are they going to train their own model if they have this
Yeah.
data privacy thing? Well, the answer is scrape people's data, basically, publicly available data. So the thing is, we don't have access to these things. They're obviously living on our device. I think that's profound that these models run on our device, and small SLMs, small language models, are definitely going to be part of our future. But the Apple Foundation models, there's also models that live in the cloud, and
Right.
I'm unaware of our ability to access them through APIs. That would be, I think that would be smart, or at least like if Claris was like, let's pretend Claris was a wholly owned subsidiary of Apple. Just pretend, if you will.
Crazy idea.
You'd think that in that little drop down of supported models, we'd have Apple Foundation models in there,
You would think
but
that, yeah.
but alas. So I will say also not favorite. I'm bummed about this, man, because I'm an Apple fanboy. I'm constantly, talking to
Yeah.
Android people and Google people or whatever. And I don't have any defensible positions on this the Apple Intelligence experience. I'm going to out one of my friends.
Well, there's one
Um,
huge thing about it, and that's when you invoke it, the little shimmering rainbow around the edge of the
yeah,
screen is cool.
it is. It's very
It's
cool,
really
actually.
cool. And it's
I'm
much, much better than Siri was, but there's still so many things that I really wish it was smart at that it just is not. So,
I actually turned it
yeah.
off on my desktop just yesterday, so I did not find it useful. Frankly, and then I will say, I have this fun text thread with, forget, I'll just out him. Nobody's listening. Robert Holsey and I have been, when it first came out, we
Hmm.
had a text thread of like ridiculous summaries that it was giving us, like, because it was giving us like, oh my God, what? And then you click on it and you're like, oh no, okay, it's something else. So the summaries are like awful, dude. Like, as a matter of fact, I turned it off yesterday because I'm like, just give me the first line of the email. It's so much more informative than whatever you think I want to know about this. So, and I don't care about Genmojis or all that
Right.
garbage. I have tools if I want to create memes and wacky stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm wholly disappointed in Apple, and I no longer think that there's some magic thing that they're working on that they haven't told us, and they're going to reveal and catch up and blow everybody away. As a matter of fact, I would
Hmm.
describe X as that right now, by the way. So there's a tease for 2025, and I'll explain why. And just
X
forget
as
your
in
politics.
what used to be Twitter X?
The no AI
I was
X.ai
going to
as
say.
in the training of Twitter.
Okay.
So people will just have to put their politics aside and think about tech.
Yeah.
And I think you'll be really fascinated about, like, I'll just say one word: Colossus. Go look that up and it'll blow your mind. But Apple, you're not that anymore, Apple. I'm sorry. I don't believe you're working on anything cool. We've seen what you think is cool. And I don't know, like maybe it's for my dad or
Yeah, I'm
something.
going to
I don't
disagree
know.
with you on that though,
All
because I
right,
mean
go.
they spent way a ton of money on R&D, and I think they're really good at killing things and having them not get out yet, right? I'm not sure how much I believe
I know,
about the
but
whole
here
Apple
we're
Car
doing
thing.
we're doing it again. We're making excuses for them, right? We were
Yeah,
doing this for 2 years, and
yeah,
and then they revealed themselves to us, and now we're still
yeah,
making excuses. So I guess I'm just tired of it.
yeah,
Meanwhile, Microsoft, OpenAI, Amazon through Anthropic, like everyone else is crushing, and they're doing it at
yep.
breakneck speeds. Like, what are you waiting for? And so I think that the frustration is, I think what the reality is this: those companies I just mentioned are all B2B companies as well
Mhm.
as B to consumer. Apple, let's not forget, is a B2C company, a business to consumer. Their audience is consumers,
Mhm.
so that Genmojis and wacky stuff like that
Yeah,
is really, like what the
I
future
guess I don't
holds.
know
So,
anybody who likes them, but okay.
well, we're business people, so
Yeah.
that's where my frustration comes from. So anyways, it's been a fun year. I look forward to some of the cool stuff that we're going to talk about. So, we will come back and we'll talk about our predictions for 2025. I'll tease by saying the following words will be heard: agents, actions, tool use, system two, token window explosions, Claris AI. and
Okay.
some other models
Mm-hmm.
that we think might be app intents. Those are some of the things that we're going to talk about, and memory usage. We're going to talk about some of those things in our next episode, but that doesn't mean we're done today.
We've got plugs to hit. I've got some
We've
stuff
got
coming
some
up. You've got stuff
plugs.
coming up.
We've got some plugs, and then a fun little play it out holiday fun time
Yeah.
that we've got. So go ahead
I've got
with
a
your
short
plugs.
plug. I'll do mine, then you can do the big ones.
Sounds
Well,
good.
first of all, I'm making a lot of videos on AI, so definitely check that out on my YouTube, and another blog article on my opinion page. Um, so
Yeah, wait, what's your blog? The blog topic again? Tell people what that is. It's interesting
so
angle.
it's the FileMaker opinion page. Basically, I'm
Yeah.
coming up with, like, I don't know, maybe curmudgeonly things about FileMaker that I have opinions on, and most of them are going to be around the idea of use fewer tools and use them better. So features in FileMaker, like um, validation was the last one. Field validation features
Yep.
basically that whole entire tab on the field you should just not use it, because there's better ways to do all of it. And then I
Love
kind of
it.
went in and showed some of that.
Particularly when like trigger,
Yep.
expansion of trigger came out.
Yeah.
It really kind of made validation kind of silly.
Yeah. I mean, validating, there's I can see a cause, I can see an argument, but anybody who argues with me is going to lose. It's just that's all I'm saying.
I would say there should be like because FileMaker has a burden as a platform to like drag all the old versions forward. There
Yeah.
should be a bucket of things like, repeating fields, are in there.
Uh-huh.
I would say we could probably put a validation tab in there officially, in that it's just there because it supports legacy stuff, right?
Petrowski
Um,
has a pretty interesting use for repeating fields, and he's kind of showing global repeated fields, kind of
I
interesting.
know, I
Yeah.
know.
I don't do it,
I
just
know,
whatever.
but just as educators in the FileMaker world, you and I can both agree, people who are trying to wrap their heads around relationships and togs and queries and
Hmm.
whatnot should not even try to understand what
Right.
we used to have at our disposal. So,
Yep.
anyways, you also have a class
Yeah,
coming up.
that's my big plug. So my main thing that I do is teaching, and I've got the FileMaker Champion class, which is like 40 class hours over 10 weeks, a couple of months and a half, where we kind of we cover the entire platform of FileMaker, and get really deep into as much of it as we can based on the expertise of the students. It starts January 7th.
Do you cover some soft skills too? Like, just like engaging with your team, client
Yes,
expectations,
some.
something like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
not a ton of it, but definitely we do. Like, what is your job? What should your job be as a consultant? How would you approach solving a user problem? And then talking about things that I have found crazy valuable. For example, a huge one is when you make a change to something, give it to a user to use, watch over their shoulder and shut up.
Mm-hmm,
Watch
mm-hmm,
them
mm-hmm.
work, watch them use the tool that you think is elegant, and then see what they do. It is, it
Just
is
humility.
It's not,
Uh,
there's humility, but there's also education. I
of
mean,
course there is. There's so many
yeah,
memes about this though, like what the developer thought and what the client needs,
yeah, yeah,
kind of
yeah.
vibe. And so I think, yeah, I would say if you take one sort of discipline away, that exact thing that you just described is healthy for anybody developing for other people, for others, right?
Yeah.
Because we're also in a world of developing for ourselves
Hmm.
with natural language and whatnot. Okay, cool. So there'll be a link in the show notes, I'm guessing, for
Or
that.
just Navarre.training. All the info is there.
Okay. My
Or,
plugs are
yeah.
well, I would say first of all, please check out the show notes for the Claris Talk AI custom GPT. Have some
Mm,
fun with it.
yes.
It's all the crazy stuff we've said. And if you're looking for additional resources or summaries on stuff, go check it out. And by the way, didn't shameless self plug here for both of us. Didn't Andy Lacates like openly say he demanded everyone at Engage You should listen to all our podcasts
He
as a
actually did
man? He mandated it,
in
if
the
I'm not
opening
mistaken.
session.
Come on,
Yeah.
folks. We're
Yeah.
just talking, we're just saying what Andy said. So if you want to actually catch up on it, you can listen to him over the holiday
Mhm.
on your dog walks while you're cooking dinner, or you can engage with it and argue with us about who's right on the Claris Talk AI custom GPT, which the link is in the show notes. Also, I just wrapped two different courses essentially on the same topic, on the topic of Claris and AI, semantic AI features. I will have one course for those that are subscribed to LinkedIn Learning. I haven't posted anything there in quite some time. I did some refreshes on some of the other courses as well too. Those are all in production. I don't do the production on those, they do, and those are coming out in first quarter next year, January. So check those out for all you new learners. And I don't have a link to it because it's not out yet. Also, I don't have a link to a similar course that I did for Claris Academy, which will be content, but also might be part of some sort of, thing that you do to, maybe get recognized for your knowledge and a skill. For example, that is also coming out in January. Excited about that. And that will be a precursor for, although March seems far away. I mean, shoot, it was a few months ago that we had our last conversation. So who knows, maybe next time we talk is engaged. I have a training day, and it's a full boot, like sort of day-long boot camp. Training day is the day after now.
The conference, yeah, interesting.
Which is kind of weird. So you'll have to make your plans ahead of time. You can't just show up and register for it because, you have to change your hotel and flight and all that stuff. But it's on Claris and AI and semantic search, and I do, I start from the very beginning. So if you want primers all the way into hands-on throughout the course of the day, this is gonna be a great place to do it. And also Ronnie Rios will be doing the last hour or so of it with whatever the latest and greatest stuff is come March. So those are, then just in general, thanks for listening to the podcast. And I keep making these jokes for the 5 of you that are still listening. And then everyone.
I have actually one more plug before you do the last thing too.
Oh, please do. Yeah.
Okay. Favorite thing looking back for the year.
Oh.
There's a plugin that removes reverb from audio.
Oh.
So this has been a problem with audio since the very beginning. Like if you record it with too much reverb or in a room, and you can check this out if you look at the video versions of the recordings that I did at Engage You.
Yeah.
And the audio versions, I used the plugin on the audio ones, but when I tried it on the video and separated it, it was just too frustrating because the sample rate was off, and it just kind of gets shifted. So I just decided it wasn't worth it. But the audio only ones cleaned up shockingly well, given how bad the sound was in the room. So that was definitely.
I would say don't make a judgment. We don't know the before there, so don't make a judgment on the after. You just didn't have a lot to work with, and this helped you level up.
Here you can compare the before and after. You can listen to the audio and the one on YouTube.
I'm sorry, we do.
And listen to the audio of the podcast one and really hear the difference. Yeah.
Well done. And are you a reseller of that product?
No.
Oh, all right. Not yet, at least.
I found a plugin for $30. I think I bought the cheap one. There's other more expensive ones too, but.
Well, as I was saying, I often make stupid jokes about now no one's listening at the end, and I can't. So many people come back and they're like, I was listening.
Yeah.
So
hi, Alexi.
For those, yeah, exactly. And Heidi, so for those of you that are still listening, we're gonna play you out, and first of all, just technically speaking, in an event that and by the way, this is rights cleared because it's already on YouTube, and there's a link to this, the long form version of this for your entertainment. But I'm gonna play. It's just going to be a little couple minutes song, which isn't notoriously a Christmas song, but for those of you that are listening in your podcast, just sort of turn up the volume, kick back, and enjoy the fun sort of vibe of the song. But for those of you that are on YouTube, this is really meant as a visual in addition to the audio. And so in case for some reason we get flagged, we can just chop it off right here and have us wave and say goodbye. But because I love Christmas so much, Matt, and I know you are a observer as well, if I'm not mistaken.
I love Christmas too.
And it is Christmas time. It is the most wonderful time of the year. The vibe is in the air. I love it. I feel hopeful. I just love all my friends and neighbors and family. And, it gives me, I'm very introspective at the time of the year, so it gives me something to look at. So what we're going to do is a special treat for YouTube folks. It's going to be a song for those who are listening, but we're going to play it out. Will be the end of us talking, and we'll just fade the song out at the end in sort of a poetic way. But please to enjoy the next couple minutes of Christmas Elf, Chrismas Elf. And you feel free to comment on it as well too. Here we go. Oh, you can hear the audio?
I can't hear you.
It rains, it
There we go.
rains. Parents from heaven.
That was yeah. So first of all, people will need to hear the audio. So let me just
I think I did hear it, but it didn't start at the
oh.
beginning. I heard a song just playing right then. Play it again.
Oh, okay. All right, here we go. This is a bit of a tease. Here we go.
And every time it rains, parents from heaven.
So let's just like not annoy the users with this. So much for my build up, but oh, there, I can't find my stop share. I need to turn on the audio is what the deal is. So here we go, my friend. All right, so we don't really edit things.
I was muted.
But here it is. Please to enjoy Christmas, CRISMAS elf. Thank you very much.
You're going to hate me, but it's not sharing correctly. The video is not showing up correctly.
I am really losing my patience with Zoom, but yeah. Okay, maybe we will actually edit this
18th time's a charm.
Yeah, 18th time's a charm. Now you now
I see it.
Now you see it, but we have to make sure audio. Yeah, let's for the sake of people maybe chop this part out at the end. If not, little the making of the sausage. We can see it. Check. Can you hear it? Check. All right, everybody, please to enjoy Jeepers Creepers. We still have the holiday spirit. I'm just going to dance in the background here and enjoy myself, but please to enjoy CRISMAS elf. Everybody, happy holidays, happy new year. We'll see you in the new year with our prediction episode. Matt, love you, brother. Happy holidays, and here's our gift to everybody.
Every time it rains, parents from heaven.
Shooby-dooby.
Don't you know each cloud contains parents from heaven?
Hello.
Be sure that your umbrella is upside down and trading for a package of sunshine and ravioli. Macaroni. If you want the thing you love.
You did it! Congratulations! World's best cup of coffee. Great job, everybody. It's great to meet you. Hi.
Now come over here, boy. Sam. And every time it rains, and don't you know it's crocodile? Every time it rains, don't you know it's crocodile?
Sit.
All over town, all over town, all over town.
Thank you.
Be sure that your umbrella.
Thank you.
It's upside down, we live up. How about those hills, right? Igalama hungly. Zumbaloo, the Zumbaloo. Oh, but the boys are here. Hey, Baba, ha, boy. Ooh, Baba, ha, boy. Woody, woo. Ooh! I knew I'd get you, Let's go, let's go.
No. All right, get out of here.
And you'll find your fortune falling all over town. Pennies from heaven. Pennies from heaven. Pennies from heaven. For you and me.
Bye, everybody. Happy holidays. Thanks, Matt. Cheers.
Thank you, sir.